if you need to run some logic when your client starts up or when the gateway is starting, you can use startup scripts. So the client event scripts has a startup script, as does the gateway event scripts, and of course they run at very different times. So the client event scripts version of a startup script will run every time a client is launched. And this logic is run right after the login. So right after the user logs in successfully, the client startup script will run. So oftentimes we'll see people using this to open up a custom set of windows if maybe the opening set of windows should be different based on who logged in. The only thing to really be aware of with the client startup script is that if you are trying to do something like logging back out or retargeting, you should do that in an invoke later. So for example, you would define what you wanted to do. Let's say under certain circumstances I wanted to log the user immediately back out. So here I'm going to use system.security.logout. But you can see I've put this call in a function definition so that I can use system.util.invoke later. And the reason to do this is that because the startup script is run during the client startup, it's better for the system to log out after all that startup stuff is finished. And that's what invoke later does, is it runs a function after the current event processing is finished. The gateway startup script, of course, runs on the gateway and will run for each project that you have defined. But it's important to remember that even though this script will run when the gateway first starts up, it may also run at additional times. So for example, if you alter any of your gateway scoped scripting or your your project script library, this script will get run again. So every time any of the scripting for your project that affects the gateway changes, your project essentially restarts in the gateway. So shutdown and then startup will be called. And the reason this is required is that you may have made changes to scripts that this script references. So the dependencies have changed, so you need to run it all again. So it's really a project startup script in the gateway scope rather than just a gateway startup script. So you need to remember that when you're writing these, that this may run multiple times in the lifespan of a gateway.